And my daughter has been telling me that she recently had a couple of different sermons, a couple of different services that were devoted to the subject of forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And I think it's something that hits home for a lot of people. You know, you've got some grudge against somebody they're not able to let go of, and then, of course, the burden is on your back, not on the person that you're holding the grudge against.
That's right.
And so the weight is lifted if you can do that. Told a story about two women that hadn't really spoken in 20 years. Were you in the service last week?
No.
You might ask Pastor Mike about it. And when he was delivering the service on forgiveness, there were two women that got up and hugged each other, and he didn't know what it was about, but later found out that 20 years prior, the one woman had had an affair with this other woman's husband.
Yes.
And the woman had stayed, in fact, I think both couples had stayed together, but of course she had had a tremendous, grudge.
Don't blame her.
Against this woman for a long time. Got up after Pastor Mike had spoken, went to her, usually didn't see her, knew that she went to the church, only saw her occasionally, never talked to her, got up and said, "I forgive you," and they hugged and cried, and they were, reconciled.
Yeah, I was there. And one of the things Pastor Mike said, he said, when you walk out of here, you're going to see somebody that you need to forgive. It might be little, it might be big, but today make that difference. I had like 3 or 4 people walk up to me and say, "You need to forgive me for a couple things." I went, "No, that's not what the sermon said. The sermon said you forgive." But
you might have a long line of folks one way or another on that, Mac.
But you're exactly right. When I have carried the burden, and some of those burdens I've carried, when it comes down to people that I believe have wronged me, once you release that burden, that resentment, oh my gosh. I mean, I understand where they get the term "weight is lifted from your shoulders."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You didn't spot Terry Peters on the way out of the church?
Believe it or not, I've made my amends to Terry Peters.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's part of my, as you know, this is day 219. I've been sober for 219 days. It's a little over 7 months.
Congratulations.
And part of that program is getting rid of your resentments. Mm-hmm. And that's a resentment that I held pretty high. And they teach you that it's not a conversation of, let me tell you what you did wrong. Here's what I did wrong. If you say you're sorry, I'll say I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It's a conversation of, here's my side of the street, and it's dirty as hell. Let me tell you what I did, and I apologize, and that's it. And it's releasing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't begin to tell you.
Yeah, because you can't get certain people to ever admit any wrongdoing,
and I don't care to.
Part. Yeah, I mean that shouldn't change the process for you, because it's not a two-way street. It's just unilateral.
That's right.
It's you.
Yeah. What we learn
you and God. I mean, that's the process. It's not you and that person.
Well, and part of it is what we call character defects. And one of my character defects was I carry grudges. I don't forget. I used to be proud of that. Oh, you can screw me now, but boy, you better know I'll get you later on. Well, that didn't do me any good, and that was one of the reasons why I abused alcohol. So,
good. Well, not a good Christian philosophy. I'm glad that's changed.
Yeah, and it's so strange because love one another, forgiveness and grace is really the basis, the foundation, and it's one of the things that we as quote unquote Christians are probably the poorest at. Judge others, take other people's inventory, things like that. So,
absolutely.
All right, we've got we want to head to the phones here. And, if you've been listening to me long enough over the years, you know that I try make these conversations and these shows very transparent, meaning not a lot of glitz, not a lot of sizzle. It's pretty much what it is what it is. And every once in a while, I have a guest or a caller on this program who I ask you to trust me. And I don't use that term very often. Macism 33, Tom, trust but verify.
Yeah. Ronald Reagan, famous.
Yeah. I've got a guest on the show here that witnessed some racial discrimination at one of the establishments in question that's listed in the paper today. Mm-hmm. And you're just going to have to trust me that this guy is the real deal and he's being honest. But the only way he would agree to do this is if he didn't get slathered into the middle of this whole conversation. And
so no names, it's anonymous. It's not going to hold up in court, but it's good for the show.
But it's not anonymous to me.
Now, you know who he is.
And that's important. I mean, I know this guy eyeball to eyeball.
Right.
So do me a favor, hand me the paper because I may need to refer that. So we're going to refer to this guy as Bob. because that's my favorite, And you know why I like to call people Bob?
No.
Because if I spell it wrong, I usually it's still okay. So, Bob, how you doing today?
Good. How's it going, Mac?
Good, buddy. All right. What we're talking about is front page of the Des Moines Register today, bar discrimination suit in West Des Moines settled. The subline is 2 men alleged they were told to leave Uncle Buck's because they were black. And Tom Baldwin, who owns Uncle Buck's, settled this out of court, had to pay $5,000 to a charity, $1,500 apiece, helped with their lawyer fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I got to tell you, I was involved in a similar suit just like this after the Charles Lovelady death a few years ago. And even though we knew we were right, we knew, me and God, the videotape, we knew we were right. The cost of fighting what I call racial terrorism or blackmail terrorism is stupid expensive. They want to make a big deal out about it. And so